Hello, hello, good evening, everybody. Learning Live time. We'll just give it a minute or two for everyone to jump on. I'm going to get some paper ready while we're watching or while we're waiting. Please say hello in the comments so I can see you. Happy Tuesday evening. It's gonna be awesome. Hello, hello. Thank you for joining in tonight. We got a real treat for you. And I know I've been promising this for a while, but I finally got my own training in. I am by no means an expert on this wonderful machine, but oh, and looks like my camera just glitched and people are joining for a second time. So hello. Yeah, we're gonna play with this fun little machine here. And I've got it heated up, so we are just about ready to go. We'll just give it another maybe 30 seconds or so for people to jump on. Matt, am I freezing on you?
It's hard to tell. Put your hand down. Yeah, you're frozen.
Okay. Let's see if this comes back on us.
Now that I went on a full screen, you're not frozen anymore.
Okay, is everybody seeing me okay? Maybe just give a thumbs up, give me some hearts in the comments, and I am going to jump in. I know that the internet has been a little bit jumpy the last couple of days, and I don't know if it is weather or what it is. So we're just going to go on and hopefully all is going to go well. I'm seeing thumbs. I'm seeing happy thoughts. Excellent. So,
There's some grumpy faces.
grumpy faces, that's not good. Well, I am going to hopefully turn that around for you. Tonight we're going to be talking about heat foil. Yeah, see, even my screen is not doing so well here. All right. So I've been in trade shows the last couple days, education classes, lots of things. And one of the things that I thought about one of the instructors is when she had technical issues, then just let it go and move on. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to let it go and move on. And unfortunately, if I cannot see your comments or if I miss something, I will try to go back and answer it. Matt is watching in the other room as well. So if there are any questions, please do pop them in the comments and he can relay them to me. All right, let's start again. So this is a hot foil press and it works along with your die cutting machine. So I have my Big Shot over here and I will bring it onto camera as we need it. These are my Big Shot plates. I don't need them tonight. I'm not going to be using them at all. Well, I shouldn't say that. Maybe when something we foil, we will also cut out. But for right now, I'm just going to put these aside. And we're going to make things glittery. Before we get into it, I'm just going to show you a couple of samples to give you an idea of what it is we are hoping to achieve by doing what we're about to do. This is one of the samples of the cards that I made in a Pink Fresh class yesterday. So we did all this beautiful foiling both on the background as well as on the sentiment. This is a silver version. This is a gold version and it is beautiful. And what this machine does is it takes, I'm going to call them metal stamps. The terminology is a little tricky because they're really not dies. They're really not stamps. They're not rubber stamps or acrylic stamps that we're used to. But what these plates will do is transmit the heat and transfer the heat right through your paper and right through the foil so that that foil is pressed right into the paper and adhered without any glue, without any other adhesive. It literally is the heat and the foil that is transferring it. Now these plates, we'll call them foil plates. They look very much like dies, but they are a little bit thicker, and it gives you the opportunity to get some really beautiful detail, whether it's sentiments, whether it is patterns like I showed you, and it conducts that heat through the foil. Now I will show you a little bit later on in this demo that you can actually use your own cutting dies as well. There's just a little bit of a trick to it and it gives you a little bit of a different look, but we're going to start right with these metal plates. And tonight I am using the Couture Creations Go Press and Foil heating machine or heating pad. Spellbinders also has a machine called the Glimmer. And you know, it's been around for a while, but foil is really a hot, no pun intended, trend for 2022. And I really haven't played with the Glimmer, but we have one on, well, a couple on order. So when that comes in, I can do a side-by-side comparison. But this is the one that I've been playing with. And there are really two main parts to this machine. There is the platform, which is what gives you your power and your electricity. And then there is your heating pad, and it pulls out so that you can then run it through your die machine. Because the other thing that this machine needs besides heat is pressure. Not a lot of pressure, not the same kind of pressure that you would for die cutting, because we're not actually cutting through the paper, but the pressure does help that heat conduct through that metal plate that we were talking about. Now the Couture Creations, this Go Press and Foil machine is quite handy because it does have your top plate that is already attached to your platform. And I really like that because it doesn't shift, it doesn't move, you never lose it. You're not going to lose this under a pile of paper or, you know, across the floor, or have, you know, someone walk away with it. So I do like that it is all together in one piece. And then this is your hot pad. So again, I have been heating this up. Originally, when you first turn this on, you should let this heat up for about 10 to 15 minutes so it gets good and hot. And the way you can tell is this little light here. Excuse me. It's now flashing red just because we've been playing around with it. But when it's green, that means it is good and hot. Before I get into all the foiling and showing you all the things, what are some other things you need? Like I said, you need a die cutting machine, a Big Shot, the Spellbinders Platinum 6. How hot does it get, and does it smell when it heats up? I don't know an exact temperature, Sheila. It's hot enough that you don't want to touch it. And I do have two different tools that will help us, and I'll demonstrate this as we go along. This funky little tweezer thing does come with the machine. This is an extra tool that if you go with the Glimmer, it does come with the Glimmer machine, but you can purchase it separately. Tara, no, I do not believe it will fit in the Cuttlebug. It's too wide. Let me just grab a ruler and confirm. I believe that it is, yeah, this is a full 6 inches wide, so I think it's just that much too big for the Cuttlebug. Now, I will also say that I have not tried this in a motorized machine. There is the Gemini, and the Gemini line has their own foil press as well. But I have not tried this. So again, once the new Big Shot comes and everything else, I haven't tried this yet. I've not heard anything. I'm just going to stick with what I know for right now. We can bring this one to the store once I'm done playing with it, if you want to see it in action in the store. But hopefully this demo will work as a really good teaser for you, as well as we will really try to answer as many questions as we can, and we'll keep coming back. So maybe if you're watching this on replay, still put your questions in, and we will come back for that. So, heat plate, actual foil plates, your big shot machine, which mine is over here. The other thing you need, obviously, is foil. Now, many of you have seen me use deco foil. This is not the kind that you want. These are called transfer sheets. This is a transfer foil, so you need things that are sticky in order to transfer the foil here. What you're looking for is things that go with the hot foil system. So pretty self-explanatory. If it says glimmer on it, this goes with the Spellbinder's glimmer machine, also works on here. You want this hot foil, heat activated foil. You want things that are heat related. Now these ones I don't believe will work through laminators and that kind of thing. That goes back to your deco foil. For what we need, the glimmer, and let me just dig. We do have foils for the Go Press and Foil branded. I just don't have any actually in a box here. But rest assured, we've got a whole range of colors that you can pick and choose from and have tons of fun with it. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk very briefly about is paper. And just like your die cutting, paper is always changing. Every brand is a little bit different. And you want to set aside some time to play. What I have done is I actually just have a little plastic bin here that I've got all my foil in here. I've got some remnants. I've got little scraps of things. I don't have a whole lot of plates right now. So right now all my plates go in here too. And I just set aside a time. When I first started, I set aside an afternoon. And I pulled out all different kinds of paper and I just played. I did not think about that end project. I just played to see what would happen. I have heard lots of different stories about what paper works and what paper doesn't. What you need to do is figure out what works for you. And the last thing, if I can find, oh, it's over here. I would highly recommend, and I did not do this while I was playing around, but I'm going to do it right now, is I got a tiny little notebook, and when I find something that works or doesn't work, I'm going to write it down in my little book, because guess what? My memory can be like Swiss cheese some days, and I may think, oh, you know what? I'll never forget that is the best paper to use, and you need 2 shims, and you need to heat it for 10 seconds. Just write it down. So I will keep this in my little book, or in my little bin with all my stuff so that I never forget. All right, so paper is, I'm going to say paper is a personal decision. I do encourage you to try different things out. The one that we have found that has been extremely successful is the Basil Smooth. Traditionally, we have just carried it in white and maybe 2 or 3 colors. I'm starting to bring in more and more colors now that we know that these are foil friendly. But you don't necessarily need to have smooth. It does work really well with a smooth, and I would recommend the smooth to get you started. But if you've got that color that matches perfectly with what you want to do and it's textured, go ahead and try it. First of all, texture has... most textured cardstock has a side that is a little bit smoother, so you can always flip it over and use that smooth side, or you can absolutely foil this and see what that texture does to your foil. So I've pulled out a bunch of different things. Like I said, the Basil I have found works well. Distress Heavy Stock has worked well for me. The Nina paper has worked well for me. I did try the Gina K paper and did not have as much success. But again, I was just learning. So I may have to play with my pressure. I may need to play with a couple of things to get that to work. So don't don't think that anything doesn't work. There is just going to be works better or works not as well. And again, that's where I really encourage you to just sit and play. But I'm going to show you all that today. We're going to try a bunch of different things and really just see the magic of this machine. Now, before I go on and actually foil something, let me show you the things that I have played with. So we do have some plates. This one, if I remember correctly, came with my foil press. So the bundle that we have right now, you do get some foil plates in your kit. This one was a really fun Spellbinders one. This one says happy birthday. Sorry, I'll get it down here on camera. This one says happy birthday. It came with my machine. This is a large sentiment one from Pink Fresh Studios. This one here that I was showing you is also Pink Fresh Studios. And let me show you what I did. So I started, like I said, just playing with the different paper to see what it looks like. There's that happy birthday. It is beautiful and crisp and clean. Pat, right now the bundle is $99 and you get that hot foil machine as well as those 3 plates that Matt mentioned in the comments. The regular price is $149. With the way things are going right now, I don't know how long those prices will last. We got a really good deal and we passed that on to you. I don't know off the top of my head the price of the glimmer machine, but when we get those in, we will talk about those as well. So this was a green foil that I used, that happy birthday. This was Nina, 80 pounds. So this is another thing you can do if you are just playing, write down on the back so you remember what you were using. Here is one, again, that I did on textured paper. Yes, you can see the texture ever so slightly through that foil, but I think it's pretty darn good. I think it's really pretty and it gives you just that slightly different look. So this was just the regular basil that we carry in the store that you have. And I did do it right on the textured side. Like I said, the back side is often smoother, so you can always try it on that other side. Here is the Distress Heavy Stock. Now I do see that I got a little bit of overfoiling, and overfoiling means that you have got foil in places that you don't necessarily want it. Now it is just in little bits here, so I probably wouldn't worry too much about it. I'll show you a little fix, our little tool that you can use to fix that in some cases, depending on how quickly you move. But you can always try again as well. And this is, again, I think I would probably try the heavy stock again with maybe a little less pressure. Again, sometimes it's a difference just between using the Go Press plate versus the Pink Fresh plate. It really does come down to trying it out and figuring out what works for you. Here, this is on, I believe this is on the Gina K. I didn't write that down, unfortunately. I believe this was on the Gina K. And you can see here in areas where we did not get good foiling coverage. But over here, in here, we've got too much foiling. So this is one that will definitely, I definitely want to play more with the Gina K stuff. Here, I've tried that Pink Fresh one, and this is on the basil paper. I actually just left the advertising strip on there. And again, I've got some that turned out really nicely and others that didn't. With this one, what I suspect happened, this is a really big plate. So you need to make sure that it heats up long enough that it's going to actually transfer. And to my knowledge, limited though it is right now, the more we play with it, the more we'll learn. I don't believe you can overheat these. You just want to make sure that they're heated enough. Now, Janice and her friends have been doing a really great job playing and enjoying their Go Press machines. A sand eraser also works really well for fixing those little blemishes that you might want to clean up. And what else did I try? Because you know what? While you've got the stuff out playing with it, you might as well just keep on playing with it. I tried it on vellum. It's not very crisp and clean. So I don't know whether I need just a little bit more heat or a little bit more pressure on this. Something I have to play with a little bit more. I also tried it, if I can find it in my little pile here. Here it is. I also tried it on acetate. This was Hunky Dory heat resistant acetate. I also tried it on, sorry, no, the Hunky Dory is not heat resistant. I did also try it on a piece of Lawn Fawn heat resistant acetate, and both had very similar results. You can see where it hasn't adhered in all the spots. Not to worry, just means you need a little bit more time to play and figure out that pressure. I honestly believe that everything is fixable. You just have to have the time to play with it. All right, so who wants to see this machine in action? Give me some hearts, give me some love, and we will put this baby to the test. All right, I'm just going to start with gold because I already have some pieces cut that's left over from my class. Let me put that up here. And I'm going to start with something simple, something delicate, something easy. And that's going to be, you know what, let's do the happy birthday. Maybe I'll do the best wishes later and we'll move into some of these bigger plates as we go along. So how does this guy work? Use my pickup tool. Too late. I've already moved it. Linda, this is the Go Press and Foil from Kuchar Creations that I'm using tonight. I did say earlier that we are getting in some glimmer machines by Spellbinders as well. Once we have those in, I will do a side-by-side comparison for you as well. So I'm just going to start with that Basil Smooth because I know that this is one that we all like. And I'm just going to cut a piece that is a little bit bigger than my foil plate. Especially when we move into some of the bigger plates, it's always good to go bigger and then trim things down. The one thing I find a bit of a challenge is positioning. And I have, watched a few videos and learned a few tricks, so we'll get into that as well. But for right now, I'm just going to cut, let's go 3x4, just to be safe. All right. So this is the Basil Smooth. I'm going to bring over my machine. You also get this little plate or this little mat in your kit. This is your safe place to put your hot plates so that you don't burn your crafting table, you don't burn your fingers, you don't burn your desk chair. This is your home base for your plates when you're not using them. Okay. This was green a little bit earlier. I'm very confident that it is nice and hot. You don't have to move at lightning speed when you're going from A to B, but you don't want to linger as well because it will lose its heat. Now, some of the different features that I know that the Glimmer has is the Glimmer does have a timer to let you know how long to leave your stuff on the hot plate to heat up. This guy doesn't have it, so for this small die, you want to aim for, I'm going to aim for about 20 to 30 seconds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this up, expose my hot area. I'm going to put the plate down, and then we are going to just let it heat up. And it doesn't have to be exact. We're just going to be approximate. I've got a piece of foil here. It is a little bit big. If you want to be frugal with your foil, you're going to want to trim it down just a little bit. Let's just do a nice little square here. Again, it's okay to be bigger. You don't want to be too small. Yep, that's a good size. And you know what? In the time that we've been talking, I think that we have let that heat up long enough. One last thing that I will comment on is that you do want to have some pieces of cardstock for shims. And this is for two reasons. One, you do want some extra pressure when you're going through your machine and your cutting plates are going to be too thick in most cases. But also, I like to put this down so that if the foil does adhere to places you don't want it, it's going to adhere to the cardstock, not to the lid of your machine. I've been told that you can use acetone to remove the foil if you have made your clear plate pretty, but you know what? I don't even want to try it. So I've got just a selection of, I've just cut them down to 5.5 by 8.5. I just pulled some old cardstock out of my stash, color that I don't necessarily like or think I'm going to use, and I've got a stack of them. So, all right, let's lift this up. When you apply your foil, pretty side down. In this case, you always want the pretty side down. So you want your foil to be pretty side down, and your paper, if it happened to be double-sided or, you know, if you were doing this on pattern paper, you want the side that you want to see down. So we're just going to put this down on top. And this is where you want it a little bit bigger so that it doesn't totally matter if you're straight. You can always trim it afterwards. And then I know that playing with this and playing with my machine, I'm only going to use one piece of cardstock. That's all the extra shim that I need. All right, so I'm going to lay that on there. And this is where I'm going to try and move fast. So this is going to come down. This is going to disengage. And then I'm going to come over here to my big shot, just like so. It is warm, so try not to touch it too much. Now the key here is go slow. You want that foil to have time to press and press and press. Now, unlike when you are cutting with dies, there is much less resistance. You can see that I'm really not pushing hard on my handle. I don't have to use a lot of force. You can come back if you wish, but you don't necessarily, need to. So that's where that die is. And we're done. Okay, let's get this off to the side for now. Who's ready for the big reveal? Drum roll. This is where I want to have my tools handy because it is still hot. Lift that up. Yep, the shim came with it from Static. And yes, you will see some pressing into it. I don't know if it's translating well on the camera, but there are impressions on this cardstock. Now I'm going to use my little tweezers, lift this up. There's my foil piece. We'll get to that in a second. We want to get this guy off the plate. If you're just using the set that comes with the machine, here's how it works. And it took me a while to learn this. I'm going to put, so there's an open side, and this side is a magnet. I want the open side down, squeeze, lift. Then when I come over here to my plate, my mat, then I can just release and it pops it off. It is hot. Oops, and now I've got it. There we go. Matt's laughing at me because it didn't work. Next time I do it, I will show you this tool. So that's how you use the one that comes with it. It's kind of awkward, but it does the trick. All right, so now I'm going to put this back into the platform so that it can heat up again for round number 2. All right. You can always leave that in there. You cannot overheat this. Just keep an eye on your little light. Can you see it there? And I'm going to move this off to the side. All right. Are we ready for the magic? Here comes the reveal. Dun, 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 dun. Voila. Beautiful. Absolutely lovely. Now, If you like to store extra bits, definitely keep this, because there are plates out there. Pink Fresh has a solid plate. Couture Creations does have a conversion plate where you can now do the reverse. Put this down with this metal plate. It will now transfer and give you the outline. So your happy birthday will be in whatever color paper it is, and the outline will be in gold. I unfortunately don't have that plate yet. You know what? We've got to start with the basics first, but we will get there, and that could be a whole other demo that I can share with you. All right, so that was the happy birthday. That was on our basil cardstock, white smooth. Let's move on. Let me show you on textured. And I've just got, again, a piece of scrap paper because I'm just playing right now. I have no projects in mind whatsoever. And I am going to this time use, you know what, let's use Best Wishes. This is from the new release from Pink Fresh that just came out yesterday. I am in the process of getting my order in. Now, that little piece of foil, you could probably maneuver it so that it'll fit, but I don't want to take that chance. And maybe, you know what, let's switch the color this time. I'm going to do, where's my silver? I'm going to do some silver. So I'm just going to trim this baby off. Again, that's probably too big, but I don't want to just cut it in half because then that'll be too small. And you know what, I probably at this point should my plate's ready. I'm going to put this on here to heat up. I usually target the center. Can you use other manufacturers' plates? You can use Val, if you're referring to the actual like words and shapes and everything else, absolutely. And I'm going to show you something extra fun towards the end, but you do not have to use Couture Creations foil plates with the Couture Creations machine. If you're talking about the actual plastic plates, then at this time I would not recommend that you mix brands. This one already has the plate attached, so you really don't need anything else at this point. All right, so we're just giving that a couple of seconds to heat up. I've got my foil, I've got my paper, and I've got my shim. So let's open her up. Pretty side down. Now with the silver, how do you know what's the pretty side down? It's usually the shiny side. The dull side is the not so pretty side. And I'm just gonna lay this down. If this shifts and if you do have to move it because you didn't get it covered just so, please don't use your fingers. Grab a pair of tweezers. Sometimes I will just use a stylus or a pokey tool, just something that can gently move it without using your fingers because it is hot. I'm going to put this textured side down just to show you how that works. And again, let's just snug that into place there. My shim is going on top. Get my machine close. My desk is not big enough. All right, we're gonna close. Oh, and my shim shifted a little bit, but that's okay. I'm going to slowly. And last time I went forward and then back. This time I'm just gonna do it once to show you that that does work as well. All right, this up, take my shim off. Get it back and ready. Get my paper off. Look, there's the foil. Oh, we just made it on that one. So that is one of the tricky bits, is getting everything the way you want, but I will show you a trick. And where's my other tool? This is the magnetic tool from Spellbinders. Simply go like this, and to drop it off, you just push the button and it releases. Okay, so let's let that heat up again. And here we go. Get that edge. Look at that. So yes, because we didn't have the paper quite so good, then it is a little bit off, but we're just playing. Look how nice and clean that image is. Will it be able to go through the Go Power emboss machine? I believe so. They are the same brand. They are meant to, in my knowledge, meant to work together. Let us look that up for you just to confirm, but I'm 99% sure the answer is yes. All right, so there we have it on texture paper. Now, like I said, one of the biggest challenges that I've had while playing with it is that judgment factor, because it's not like dyes, it's not like clear stamping. You can't necessarily see where you're putting stuff. So I'm going to show you a little trick. I've not tried it a lot myself, so please forgive me if I'm a little clumsy with it. But it is called the Hinge Method. So let's get some stuff ready. That's heating up. I'm going to switch to this beautiful die from Spellbinders. It's a beautiful, beautiful pattern. And I will say that this Hinge Method does work better on larger dies. Some of these smaller ones are might be a little too fiddly. So where before we were putting the paper down, we were putting the foil down, we were putting the plate down, then the foil, then the paper, and doing it in 3 separate steps. This way, what we're going to do is we are actually going to build the sandwich before we put it on the plate. And I'm going to have to see if I remember how to do it. I want it to be, so if this is the wrong side and this is the wrong side, what I'm going to do is lay them side by side like that. I'm going to use my yellow tape from Spellbinders. And I am going to make myself a hinge. You know, maybe I'm going to do it this way. So I'm going to line that up on the side. And this has the actual foiling side, the detail side is face down. And I'm going to put a piece of tape like this. And a piece of tape on the other end. And if you had a very specific size of paper, you could even get that cut down properly. And I like this technique too, because if you find that you don't have enough foiling, you can, it's like using a stamp platform where you can unhinge it, put a second piece of foil in, and try it again. I'm just seeing some questions that I'm missing here. Sheila, no, I do not believe that this is an actual cutting die. It is only the foiling die. Again, I could be wrong, but that is my understanding. So I'm going to cut this piece of foil just in half lengthwise. I also thought I saw my friend Kelly, one of my sister stores down in the US. Hello, Kelly. Hope you are doing well. I miss chatting with you, so maybe we can connect in a little bit. Hope you and Dawn are doing well. All right, and I'm not doing a great job of getting this straight, so I would do a much better job if I were doing this for real. All right, so I'm going to open this up. And remember, we want pretty side against the foil side. So I'm actually going to do it pretty side up this time on the paper and then flip that over. All right, like I said, my apologies if I was a little bit clumsy. That's really one of the first times that I've done this, but looking pretty good so far. So I've got my foil in place. The only thing I have to remember is when I put it onto the heat, I want it with the die side down. Die side down. Okay, let's move this around. Gonna get my big shot here. We still have to let this heat up. So even though the paper is on it, we can still let it heat up in the machine. And I'm gonna lay it down here. I am gonna put it on a little bit of an angle because sometimes it goes through your die cutting machine a little bit better. And I'm gonna give it a few seconds to heat up. What else can I be telling you while we're doing it? This is fun. This is addictive. This is fun. And you know what? If you have the means to get your hands on one of these, you will definitely be foiling all the things. Like I said, we've just started. So right now we do not have, unfortunately, a huge selection of plates in the store, but I'm on a mission to change that. So we will be getting, oh, thank you, Margaret. Yes, I do need the Shims. So I will make sure that I put that in before I put it through the machine. Now, if I do forget and I don't want to lift it up because I'm afraid that it's going to shift, I can just put it on top. All this is doing is providing extra pressure, and yes, it does protect against extra foil as well, but I'm not too concerned. But thank you, Margaret, for that reminder. I will put that in before I put it through the machine. Anyways, as I was saying, these are ones that I've just collected to play with, but we will get lots more in. There's some great sentiments, and they're just little strips, so they'd be super easy to foil. And then you've got the dies that match to cut them out. This is a great big one that's got some great sentiments. We've got Pink Fresh and Spellbinders right now, and I am looking for more as we get to know other companies that have all these wonderful things. All right, I think we're ready. I'm gonna put my shim down and we'll release and cut. Sorry, not cut, foil. No cutting at all. And so far, all I've used is that one shim. There may be times, and I will show you, I think I'm gonna show you 2 more things tonight, and then we'll leave other things for future demonstrations. So I'm gonna lift this up. Here we go. Oh, it all came together. So just be careful because this is going to be hot. Hot, hot, hot. Now some do like it hot, but not me. At least not on my fingers. If you're talking about beach weather, then absolutely bring on the heat. All right. So we're just going nice and easy, nice and slow. And then when we do this, get my little tool here, and this is where we want to peel that up, get that tape off, and voila. Now you might want to check it before you actually unhinge it. Lesson I'm learning right now, because yes, there are a couple of spots where it missed. If I had kept it hinged, I could have put another piece of foil in there and had it go through the machine again. But you get the idea. Stunning, isn't it? It is just so much fun and very addictive. Now, like I said, if you're doing a bunch of sentiments and everything else, if you're going to go to the trouble to get all this stuff out, then do a few. Don't just foil one thing and then put it all away again. And then, like I said, save this, because when we get that conversion plate, we can use that to foil the negative space. Okay, like I said, I'm going to show you 2 more things. I'm going to show you a Big Daddy plate. This is a full panel A2 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 plate that you will use for a card front. And like I said, I use that here on this beautiful card. And with this particular card, there is also a coordinating stencil. That's how I was able to color in all those spaces. I didn't sit and color each individual one. I used a stencil, which makes it even more fun and another great way that you can use things. My plate is now heated up. These big cover plates need time to heat. So I'm going to pop that in right now and let it start getting heated up. Don't move it with your finger, Sheri. Now, these big plates are a little bit too heavy for this magnetic guy, so we won't be able to use him to take it off. Always good to have your tweezers handy. Okay, I'm going to cut. What paper are we going to try this time? I think I'm going to use this craft paper. Now it is Basil Smooth again, so I'm pretty confident in how it's going to turn out. I'm going to cut my paper bigger than the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Absolutely, I could have done that Hinge message, but since it is now already heating up, I don't want to mess with that. So 4 1/4. Five. Oh no, I wanted bigger than that, didn't I? Okay. So you know what? Let's just cut this down. This is 6 inches wide, so let's get this down to 6 inches wide. No, maybe a little bit smaller. Let's go. This will be 4 1/4, so let's just do 5. 5 is probably fine. That'll cover it nicely. And foil. On the craft paper, how about we try, I'm going to crack open the red because I think the red would look really, really nice on that craft paper. Now, your foil will have little seals on it. I don't know if you can see it well on the camera. This one is a nice little circle. I know the Couture Creations one was a piece of tape. Be really careful when you're trying to open this up. I'll get it the right way, because you don't want to nick the foil on the other side. And I'll be honest, I have not found an easy way to do this. Oh, there we go. Now I do have a little blemish there. We'll be able to work around that. So I'm just going to make sure I've got a nice, you know, I think I may, just for fun, trim that off for when I do something that's a little bit smaller. And then get a nice big piece here. Again, make sure that's going to cover. Yep, I think we're good. So with a big plate like this, you definitely want to give it a good 45 seconds, maybe even a minute. The longer, the better. To be honest, I've lost track of time now. So you know what? Let's just give it a try and see what happens. Okay, lift this guy up. Pretty side down. Pretty side down. It's kind of neat that the static and the heat just helps it lay nice and flat so that you don't have to worry about the curl factor. I am just going to try and shift it. Now I'm going to put my paper down. And now for my shim. Okay. Who's ready? Who's ready? Let's do this. All right, pull. And once again, this is a nice big one, so we're gonna go super slow. Just nice and slow, nice and slow. You will find a little bit of resistance, but again, not at all like when you're die cutting. You just want that to go nice and slow. Nice and slow, and I'm gonna go back. That's so funny. There we go. All right. Move that. Gonna get my little hot plate, my little mat ready. Get my tweezers ready and lift. Actually, let's save on some space here. So, don't need my shim anymore. Let's lift this up. It's looking pretty good. When you can see all of that detail already, it's looking good. All right, this. Squeeze and lift over onto the mat. Release. Close up. Let's get this guy heating up again. And drum roll. I'm seeing Margaret's question here that going back might get some missed spots. Absolutely. Getting that second round of pressure really can't hurt, but it's not like a die where you're going to have to do it multiple times. Ho, ho, ho. Look at how stunning that is. And you know what? I would probably just trim this nice and close to that red line. Throw a sentiment on there, and what a gorgeous masculine card. You know, put a nice clean happy birthday on there, happy Father's Day. That just rocks. And like I said, I'm trying to keep all of these extra pieces because that would also be really cool to have that as your background. Okay. Thank you all for staying with me this long. This has been lots of fun. I'm going to show you one more thing. And in Matt's own words, as my foil drops on the ground, this is a game changer. You don't need necessarily to buy hot foil plates to use in your hot foil machine. You absolutely can use your own thin cutting dies. Now, is this still hot? I'm going to just move this over here. Let me find my sample. So, I have this beautiful little butterfly Thinlits die. It's a old favorite from Tim Holtz, and it has some really beautiful detail and etching. Here is that beautiful butterfly foiled. This absolutely is a game changer because you can do all kinds of things with the dies that you already have. Now, the one thing you do have to be aware is versus a hot foil plate, and you've seen the examples already, the hot foil plates, the lines and the detail are a little bit thicker, a little bit bolder. When you are using a cutting die, you are just going to have very thin, very delicate lines because they're meant to cut, so it's going to be thin, just like that. Now, depending on your die, some dies are solid on the back. As I was playing, I noticed that this one is still very detailed, even on the back. Where I would be fearful, but there's not really a lot of pressure, I don't want this to cut my hot foil plate. But you know what? We're going to try it. So I'm going to use this.
Hey, don't break your machine.
No, I'm not going to break my machine. I'm going to use the same piece of paper because this butterfly is not super big. And do I have a piece of foil already cut that will fit? Yep, that gold is a nice little piece here. All right, so this is where my memory is failing me, is how many shims I'm going to need. I'm going to try it once just with the one shim. These are a little bit thinner. So you know what? I'm actually going to try 2 shims on this one. Let's go for broke. Okay. Just like the foil dies, I'm going to place this Okay, I'm gonna reverse my position. As much as I think this would be really pretty, given that it's only the thin areas that are going to be sitting on the heat, I don't know that that is going to conduct the heat as well as we want it. So let me just demonstrate with the detail, and I can play with the other one off camera and let you know my findings. All right, so let's put this down. We'll give it a few seconds to heat up. I'm actually now going to just trim. Trim some craft, that's my foil. It's a tiny little die, so it does not need a ton of heat. Pretty side down, paper down. Let's just nudge it a little bit. And my shim, and I've got 2 shims here. Okay. Do-do-do-do. And just roll it gently and slowly. Again, I'm not feeling the same kind of resistance as I would with the die cut, so I'm very confident that it's not cutting through the paper. No strenuous exercise is required. And shim, 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 shiminy, shim, shiminy. Yeah, Matt doesn't like it when I sing. Okay, so it did shift a little bit. But the concept is true. Dun, da, da, dum. Look at that. Love it. And when it is that detailed and that delicate, even if it's not that perfect foil, like I'm looking here and there are some areas that I still see foil left behind, we probably could have added a 3rd shim and still been okay. Now I have a brand new die, also from Pink Fresh. This is called, okay, now I'm drawing a blank. It's called Folk something. I have some little dots in here that I just need to poke out. But I think this would be a gorgeous pattern to foil. So let's just clean her out.
Sheri, if you use the same die and cut that out now, would it just basically cut over top of the foil that you just did?
Yes, so Matt, I don't know if you can hear Matt on the camera. If I then try to use the die to cut this out, all you're going to do is cut right over your foil lines. It's too delicate, and it is using those cut lines to create the foil. So unfortunately, it will not work as that shadow aspect to it. Now, if it was one of those dies, and I actually think that there is a shadow layer in this die set, as long as it's a little bit bigger, then you're going to have no problem whatsoever cutting it out after the fact. And I think this is going to be a real game changer, and it could change how designers design their dies, design these plates to work together. With this Best Wishes, for example, it did have a coordinating die that is bigger than, actually I should have this closed so it's heating up properly, bigger than the foiled word so that you can die it out. All right, so I'm going to try this beautiful folk pattern. We're heated up here. This is smaller than 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Let's get it heating up. Let's use this teal. And just like so. Yep, should be able to fit. I'm gonna just trim it down a smidgen. And foil. So what are you guys thinking for foil? I'm kind of thinking silver on this teal. What do you think of that? Where is my roll of silver? Here it is. Scissors. Okay. Because this is not solid, does not need to have as much time as that solid plate did, we're gonna lift it up, pretty side down. Just gonna move it a little bit so it's right nice and square. Here's our green, our teal. Yep, now I'm making a mess. Here we go. This like so. My paper's a little curly, so I just want to try and flatten it out a little bit. Okay, there we go. Let's do a shim. Let's try 3 shims this time.
Not as easy when you got people watching, ain't there?
Nope, not as... When we got an audience, you know, anything can happen, so... All right, ready, set, rock and roll. I'm using 3 shims because when I did the butterfly, I found that there were still spots that did not foil through. So I'm feeling like it with the thin die, I needed just a little bit more pressure. But as I said off the top, a lot of what this comes down to is playing around with it and trying what works. See how it works in your die cutting machine, because everybody's die cutting machine is different. See how it works on the paper that you used. Ooh, I'm so excited. That looks beautiful. Let's use this guy. Close her up, and dun, 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 dun. It did not cut the paper. Now I am very crooked, so this is definitely one of those instances where I would probably want to use that hinge method so that I could keep my paper straight and not have to try now and figure out how I'm going to cut that nicely. You will notice, I don't know if I can get the light to catch it, there is just little tiny traces of foil down here on the ends. That probably means we had lots of pressure and it just, you know, transferred onto that paper. So I definitely would not go more than 3 of those shims. And that's just cardstock. I mean, if you're using chipboard or thicker cardstock or cardboard, you're just going to have to play. And that's where your notebook is going to be your lifesaver, so that once you play and figure it out, the next time you do it, you don't have to sit and figure it all out again. You can just go, go, go and foil all the things. So ladies, I think that's it for me tonight. I plan on watching some more videos and learning some more things and playing lots more with this stuff. I will definitely be getting more plates in for you guys. If you know of other companies that have the hot foil plates that you're interested in, please let me know, because I would love to look into them. We'll start with some of the basics, get some patterns in, some backgrounds, some sentiments, really start with those basics, and then we can grow from there. Thank you so very much for joining me for this hot foil learning live. We definitely will download this and put it back up onto YouTube, so that gives you 2 places that you get to go and watch on replay. While I still have you all on the screen, Tomorrow is Wednesday, but it is trade show season, and you guys know what that means. I am in back-to-back meetings tomorrow. So unfortunately, there will not be a What's New video tomorrow night. I'm starting at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning and going till about 7:30 or 8 o'clock tomorrow night. But that just means that I've got so much more knowledge and so much more good stuff to bring in for you. So our future What's News will be awesome. Again, thanks for joining me tonight. If you have any more questions, please don't hesitate to drop them here in the comments or email us at customerservice@craftersworkshop.ca. And if we don't know the answer, then we will do what we can to find it for you. All right, everyone, have a wonderful evening, and we will talk to you very soon. Thank you.